Welcome to another episode of the Lean and Lionhearted podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to go over one of the questions that I got recently that I think will really help you out. I'm going to start doing more of these types of episodes where it's just me. It's going to be a solo podcast. I'm going to basically answer a question or some questions that I've gotten recently, and hopefully it'll help you out. So if you like this style of episode, make sure to let me know. If it's on YouTube, leave a comment or whatever, or you can message me on Instagram or on LinkedIn, wherever we're talking. But a question that I got this week is, when should I do cardio? Should I do it before my workout, after my workout, and what type of cardio should I be doing and how much? So it's kind of a lot of questions wrapped up in one, but that's basically where everyone starts, right? When you decide that you want to lose fat, for most people, their immediate thought is, I need to do some cardio. And cardio is a great tool, but it is just a tool. And so we kind of have to understand, what do we need cardio for and how does that work within our goal? So the first thing that we got to do is break down what is our actual goal, right? So when you say that you want to lose weight, most people, they're like, I got this goal. I want to lose 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever it is. But in reality, you don't want to lose weight. You want to lose fat. And you want to preserve as much muscle mass as possible, because most people, it's not just about the weight. You're trying to achieve a certain look, right? You want to look toned. You want to look defined. You want to look muscular. You want to look cut. You want a six-pack, whatever it is. You don't want to be skinny fat, which is what would happen if you lost a bunch of weight and you're losing muscle mass and fat mass at the same time, right? Because when we're talking about being lean and being toned and defined, it's having a low body fat percentage. And that means the amount of muscle and skeletal mass and all that stuff that you have versus the amount of body fat. And so if you're decreasing your muscle mass while you're also decreasing fat, the ratio is not changing as much as you think it is, right? So we got to get clear that we want to maintain as much muscle mass as possible while losing fat, or while losing weight, in the effort to mostly lose fat. Jesus, can't talk today. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to look like a skinny fat, saggy paper bag, right? A great example would be marathon runners versus sprinters. If you go Google it right now, a marathon runner is pretty skinny. They kind of look like a twig, but they still have some fat on them. They're pretty much skinny fat and very small, not very muscular. On the other hand, a sprinter is very muscular, usually very, very lean, and they look toned and defined and all that good stuff. And you would think that if more cardio is better, then the marathon runner should be ultra shredded and muscular and toned and defined. And then the sprinter maybe in pretty good shape. But that's where you need to target fat predominantly as much as possible versus, just losing weight comes into play, because you don't want to lose that muscle mass. So if we know that we want to lose muscle mass, that means we need to prioritize heavy resistance training. Heavy resistance training is heavy resistance training and a high protein diet is what you need to maintain as much muscle mass as possible. And the reason for that is, one, you need protein, because protein is going to help your body repair, recover, potentially grow any kind of muscle mass. You need those amino acids for the recovery aspect. And two, you need the heavy resistance training, because your muscle is going to stick around if you're using it. If your body is giving it a reason to stay because it's challenging it through heavy resistance training, then your body's going to retain as much muscle mass as possible, which is what you're looking for, right? Because if you're not challenging your muscle and you're in a caloric deficit, you're losing fat, you're doing a bunch of cardio, your body's going to choose, do I want to take away this stored energy, which is my fat, which is my energy reserve to live, or am I going to take away this muscle, right? If I'm not using the muscle because I'm not doing anything that's challenging enough for me to need it, at a certain point, your body's going to opt to take away that muscle mass and go catabolic. So heavy resistance training is going to be the most important part of your day, activity-wise, if your goal is fat loss, because it's going to keep that muscle around and maybe even grow if you're a newer lifter and you can get those newbie gains. It's basically the idea of, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So from an activity perspective, that weight training is going to be your most important part of the day. So then the question is, when do you do cardio if weight training is the most important part of your day? So you got to think food is fuel. We eat to fuel our body to do different things. And if the workout training or the weight training workout is going to be the most important part of your day, that means we need to use the most amount of fuel for that activity. And so pretty much the only time you don't want to do cardio is immediately before your workout, because if you do that cardio before your workout, you're going to use some of that fuel that could have been used to have a more effective weight training session, maybe push more weight, do more reps, maybe do an extra set, whatever it is. And you're going to use it on that cardio, which means you're going to get a less effective workout session. And you're probably going to be, you're not going to be able to retain as much muscle mass as you would have if you had more energy for that workout. Outside of immediately before your workout, it doesn't really matter. Fasted cardio is cool. Post-workout cardio is cool, or cardio any other time of day, honestly, is fine, as long as it's not immediately before your workout and giving you a worse workout. Now, is fasted cardio going to be better? Not really. So then you might be wondering, like, why are people so into fasted cardio, and why is it so important? Back in the day, everybody thought that fasted cardio was superior to cardio during other parts of the day, but that's not really true. Like, if you want to think about your caloric balance as like your monthly budget in terms of money, then it doesn't matter what time of the month you spend the money. If you spent the money, you spent the money, right? So just like the cardio, if you spent those calories by doing that cardio, it doesn't matter, So what you want to do is do it either when it's most convenient for you to do, or when you are most likely to do it. So I say when it's most convenient for you to do, because a lot of people just don't like cardio. Most people hate cardio. If you're saying, yeah, I fucking hate cardio, you're not alone, right? So if you don't like doing it, there's a chance that if you leave it towards the end of the day, you're gonna be really tired, unmotivated. You're not going to want to do it. And you're just like, maybe I'll just do the cardio tomorrow. I'll push it back. And then you start procrastinating on it. And so leaving it towards the end of the day might not be the time that you're most likely to do it. So the saying goes, if you got to eat a frog, you do it first thing in the morning. If you got to eat 2 frogs, you eat the biggest one first. And basically what that means, I know it's weird as hell. The first time I heard it, I was like, what the hell is he talking about? But it basically means if you got to do something that you don't like, do it first thing in the morning, because that's when you're most likely to do it, right? That's when you have the most energy, the most willpower, and you can focus all your efforts on that, because you don't have a lot of other stuff either making you tired or taking away your focus or making you unmotivated. The longer your day goes, the less motivated you are to do something that you don't want to do. So if we're talking about when are you most likely to do it, realistically for everybody, doing the thing that you don't want to do first thing in the morning is when you're most likely to do it. So in that aspect, like fasted cardio might be great for you. Me personally, when I was bodybuilding, I liked doing fasted cardio because I liked getting it out of the way, because I hate cardio, right? Everybody hates cardio. Nobody wants to do cardio, especially when you're deep into a diet and you're like, dude, I'm so tired. I don't want to do this shit. If I'm working out later in the day, what I don't want to do is go through a really intense workout session and then say, oh, dude, I got like 40, 50, an hour of cardio that I still have to do. And the whole time during that workout, or the whole time during the day before that cardio session, I'm thinking like, damn, I still got to do cardio. I still got to do cardio. I still got to do this cardio. And then it's like weighing on you all day long, and it's, borderline ruining your day, because you're like, dude, I don't want to do this shit. So do it first thing in the morning if that's when it's most convenient, or if that's when you're most likely to get it done. If it's harder for you to do cardio than it is to work out, try and get it done then. But then the second aspect is whenever it's most convenient for you, right? So like for most of my clients, I just put it post-workout, but I say you can do it anytime other than immediately before your workout. And that's just because it's probably the most convenient for you to do it when you're at the gym already, right? You don't want to have to make a second trip to the gym. So unless you have cardio equipment at home, pretty tough. So it's easier, in my opinion, to just knock it out while you're already at the gym. Plus, you might not have the equipment to, do an incline walk for 30 minutes or whatever your cardio is. So that's when you should do your cardio. Then it's what kind of cardio should I do, right? There's HIIT cardio, there's steady state cardio, like what should you do? Stairmaster, incline walking, cycling, elliptical, what the hell should you do, right? So there's pros and cons to each of these things, right? So for HIIT cardio, it's going to be effective in the sense that it burns more calories per unit of time, right? So in 10 minutes, I can burn more calories doing HIIT cardio than if I did steady state. The problem with that is, one, most people don't do true HIIT cardio. They're just going a little bit harder than normal, right? True HIIT cardio is like, I'm going all out, balls to the wall, everything I got, I'm leaving it on the table for this 15 seconds or 20 seconds, and then I get my whatever break, right? So that's problem number one with HIIT cardio. Problem number two is that if you are able to do that and you are able to push yourself and you're kind of one of those dogs that can just get it done, you can only recover from so much of that, right? So recovery is a big aspect that plays into the part of losing fat and how long you can stay to a diet without your body kind of fighting you back, right? And adapting to what you're doing. Because when you start getting under recovered, that's, quote unquote, overtraining. And it's much harder for your body to recover from a lot of HIIT cardio. So at a certain point, you might be able to do a bunch and get a lot done in a shorter period of time, but you can't keep adding more and more and more HIIT cardio because your body can't recover from it. And then if your body can't recover from it, then you got to take a break or a deload week or whatever it is. And then now you're wasting time. So that's kind of like the pros and cons. The opposite would be the steady state cardio. So either low intensity steady state or medium intensity steady state, whatever you want to call it. But basically you're just going at one pace, keeping it within a heart rate target typically, and you're going for a certain amount of time. The benefit to that is that you can do a lot of it. Your body's not going to get super stressed out and under recovered from doing this type of cardio. The con is like obviously that it's very time consuming and it's boring, but you can always add more if you need to. So play with a mix of both. It depends on like what you want. I would typically start by doing the least amount of work possible and then gear things up. So sometimes I like to go with steady state cardio. It's something that's very easy, walk on an incline, for 20 minutes after your workout. And that's pretty easy, right? And then if you're someone that's in a pinch for time, you need to push things past the plateau, then you can go with the same 20 minutes, but you can do HIIT cardio. So maybe you do 10 minutes of HIIT, 10 minutes of LISS, and then you can go 15 minutes of HIIT, 5 minutes of LISS, and you can kind of play with that. And then eventually though, you're going to have to kind of monitor that recovery and then probably stick with mostly steady state cardio to keep the fat loss going and not be running yourself into the ground essentially. And then if we're talking about how much is just determined on where you are in your diet, like what you need, right? So you want to think of everything like your caloric balance is like a scale, right? Like or a seesaw, I guess, right? If you want to push the deficit a little bit further, you can either do a little bit more cardio, do a little bit more work, or you can eat a little bit less food. So you have to play with it as you need to push through your goals. But the biggest part is that you have to have realistic expectations on how much fat or how much weight you should be losing week to week and not getting overly aggressive with it. And then putting yourself in a position to add stuff in as you get going. Because what most people do is they're really excited to lose weight. They're like, all right, I'm going to do an hour of cardio or 45 minutes or whatever the hell it is, right? But what happens? You hit a plateau, right? And if you're already doing 45 or an hour and your body's gotten used to that, it's like, okay, well, where do I go from here? Do I do an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours? At some point, you don't got enough time in the day or you're just not gonna wanna do it, right? So start by doing the least amount of work possible. Do the least amount of cardio that you need to start making progress towards the goal. And then as you need to push things along, you can start adding more and more cardio in as you need to. But yeah, so that's the when do you do cardio? Anytime other than immediately before your workout. What kind? You can do HIIT, you could do LISS, you can choose different machines that you want to do it on, or if you like running, most people don't like running, you could do it outside. And then how much is just going to be determined by where you are in your current program and what you need to get out of the cardio. But the most important part is remembering that you're trying to maintain as much muscle mass as possible so you can achieve the look that you're looking for, right? And don't look like a saggy bag of shit. But hopefully that helps. That's just something I wanted to give to you, and hopefully it'll help you decide what you want to do with your cardio or what you need, and help you think through these decisions. But if you like this type of episode, or I'm just answering questions, I guess I'm going to call it the Q&A series. Let me know. And if you have any questions that you want me to answer, also let me know, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Like the show, whatever. But thanks for listening. I'll see you guys next time.